Well, actually, this got me all into like the ecom, so I'm ready for. Let me just set up my screen correctly,
Okay.
and we can talk about Helium 10. So, and just talk a little bit more out loud here. The one that Heather and I were talking about that we started with, and honestly, I'm just gonna kind of roll with it from here onwards, right? But like for the CBD elements, or even before going into CBD, because we can't market it completely, we were looking at this particular brand because I think brand definitely has a lot to do with this, right? Like a design and the look and feel have a lot to do with selling on Amazon.
Hmm.
So with Helium 10, what I started with is this is like kind of the new idea of how I think that packaging for pills should be, mainly because Amazon started this. I don't know if you've heard about how Amazon bought PillPack,
Yeah.
right? So like these guys are literally trying to, as you can see right there, do that, right? Like they're trying to go that particular route. So these companies like Care of are kind of going that specific route as well. So the market opportunity on Amazon is if you type in, let's just say, again, we're going to play off of anxiety pills, right? Like everything that you see here, that's funny. Here's Sprayology. Um, but everything that you see is going to be in the same essential white label product because they're essentially private labeling it so they can get on Amazon FBA, right? So they want to be able to ship this stuff from Amazon's warehouses and fulfill it by Amazon. So they're getting this done by a Rocktomic or any other drop shipper of supplements to get out here in this particular model, right? And again, you got the sponsored guys as well as Amazon likes to show. Let's just use Nature's Bounty as the example here. We'll show you that it's 110 in the blended vitamins and mineral supplements. So when you have the Helium 10 plugin installed, and you could start with the freebie for Helium 10, what you'll see before you even go into any other like utilization of how Helium 10 works is just this. This is really a really powerful element of how many people are actually selling this exact formula is going to be three, or this Nature's Bounty. I know that there's one other seller already here. And that other seller is this guy right here, Zen Anxiety. So that's like a benefit of Helium 10 right away. I know exactly what my competition is, and I can go in and start figuring out what the revenue will be for that particular product. So once you start, like let's say you're going down this route of starting up your own organization, your own company, and you need to figure out how much your wholesale cost is because you're going to do the same thing. You're going to try to private label a product, right? Like you can go in and have that spreadsheet from the supplier company that's going to be drop shipping for you. But then you got to tack on everything on top of it, because if the manufacturer, so let's just say the drop shipper is 1985, right? And your FBA, you're going to take that $19.85 product and just take the whole pallet of them. Like let's just say there's 500 in a pallet, 500 units. You're going to be sending that to Amazon automatically. So you're going to have to figure out how much your product cost is going to be from your supplier. So if it's like anywhere between $8 as an example, you're now able to see right away how much your revenue is going to be coming out of it. You can calculate how much per unit you can actually sell, and your profit margins are going to be. So that is definitely a skill or a benefit of Helium 10 right away. I'm not even on Helium 10's website. I just have the plugin installed, and I'm logged into Amazon. I'm seeing the competitor, and I can actually see how much inventory Amazon actually has of that particular product, how much that sales ranking is, and how much I can actually calculate how much the profit margin is going to be per unit right away. So that's number one right here. That's a really cool little benefit of Helium 10. Okay. So I'm going to go again. Now I'm actually in Helium 10. Right. So I utilized the keyword anxiety relief. And I'll be able to then see, again, this is only pulling information from Amazon alone. So I can see how much search volume, and I accidentally hit back. I'm so sorry. There we go. So I can see how much the search volume is on Amazon, how many competing products total that are there. So in my opinion, based on, looking at Helium 10 here, and then also going back to that Amazon link, you can see that even if you have, over 3,000, greater than 3,000 competing products, you can see that, the scale or the ranking for each one is going to be different, because some are hitting, like this one here is a homeopathic remedy. This one's going to be a sleep aid, even though they're actually all anxiety, or they're actually all saying anxiety in some form or format, right? Like this one has anxiety here. This one's title isn't saying, unless I actually click it. Let's charge them and see. So it's not saying anxiety in the actual title itself that is being optimized for Amazon. So the word anxiety must be, here we go, right here, right? You got anxiousness twice. So it's in the description. And, this is showing that you can be in multiple different categories on Amazon, and they're creating new categories daily, all the time, right? They got blended, they got herbal supplements, nutritional supplements. You can see like some examples right here. The one that actually interests me on this particular model, and I'm just not going to bring up really Heather stuff. You can cut that part out. Sorry, Andres.
No.
Is actually pets, right? Like pets is a good niche, because you can see that the competing products, not competing brands, is actually less than 1,000. And if you go even tighter, like dog calming chews, or you're playing on like chews or gummies. I know a pet probably can't have a gummy, so let's just say chews. It's got 244. So you can see that, the search volume is lower, but you can kind of own that particular market fairly quickly. So again, the idea, based on what I mentioned earlier on grunt style, would be that create multiple brands, create multiple private labels. And it might sound like you're going to have a lot of operating costs. Put them all under one umbrella company. And, each product can be its own brand that can be in multiple different categories. And Helium 10 can kind of show you which ones you would want to touch first, right? So you could start because you got less competition here, but you really would actually want to be in this one because the search volume is higher. And this one's always a fun one, but for instance, that Zen Anxiety that we looked up earlier, we can see that they sold 2,851. That's the monthly sale volume, right? So that's not their dollars, that's just the volume. And that they brought in $56,000 off of that product, which was right here, right? Like, so for $19.95, they were able to bring in 56,000. So looking at this again, and I really do recommend keeping both Helium 10 and the Amazon listing open. But when you look at your revenue calculator again and throw in typical product costs, right? Like from the drop shipper or the manufacturer, let's just say is under 10, and I'm going to be conservative. You're bringing in $6 profit off of 56,000 sales. So $6 per unit. So if you're just doing simple math off of that, one second. through what Helium10 is giving you here, you know that 2,851 sales at $6 of profit. You're getting 17K of profit off of a 56,000 revenue. So it's
And that's
basically a set
monthly.
and forget. What was that again, Andres?
No, I was saying, and that's monthly.
That's
So
monthly. Yep. And they are not running ads. Remember, we looked at this particular one, and Amazon clearly marks from the top, just like how Google does it. But you can see which ones were ads sponsored. These guys are not actually running ads specific on this brand right here. So it's again, it's a set and forget. You got to hit the right niche. Helium10 will help you find that niche, and you can then actually see how the monthly sales, the monthly revenues, and really how that particular product is doing from a review and ratings perspective too, because all that really does matter here. I'm happy to dive into how that matters from Amazon's perspective if you want me to go into that.
yeah, I think that's really important because I mean I know for myself that's the first thing I look at. You know, when I'm going to buy something off of Amazon, I look at the stars, I look at the reviews, try to read as many as I can.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people do it as well. So I do think touching on that is
Yeah.
important.
No, for sure. And so the way that you can see it from this perspective, from the back end, right? And they call it the black box, is that I'm going to jump in before I even go into the black box. I'm going to jump into why Amazon does it the way it does. Is like when you do get your product onto an FBA model, right? So you're private labeling, WellPath years, private labeling this bottle that they're getting from a mass production warehouse that's going to be producing it for multiple different organizations, is because Amazon's taking care of everything for you. Once you set it up, all you're worrying about is making sure the bills are paid, number one, to your supplier, and that you're staying on top of new product lines. So you're creating new products. But Amazon's taking care of even your customer service, which is just a huge benefit. So, a lot of people like to go into the model of like, hey, why should I go and sell on Amazon? I rather create my own store and keep all that money. And I think if you really were to calculate this, and we looked at that profit margin being $6 a unit, right, for this particular
Mm-hmm.
product. If you're looking to create a whole separate store, you're going to have to also take into consideration that you're now competing against Amazon, and you also are going to need to have a lot of manpower behind everything you're doing. So you're going to have customer service taken care of, and that could be honestly anything from a bad product to it just getting misplaced. Amazon's taking care of all of that, right? And they do a no hassle. That's why we all love Amazon, right? Like you can literally get a refund without even flinching. Honestly, just going to your app and hitting that you never received it or you didn't like the product. And you rather have that benefit than trying to take care of the negative reviews and everything else that's on there on their own. And I'll give you another example on why you would want to do that. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole for a second because I did this looking at mattresses, because everyone's disrupting the mattress market right now, right? Because everything can be shipped now in general. So it's funny, but you can go and look for the Amazon brand or the Amazon Choice mattress. I'm going to see if I can find it. Where did it go? Let's see. So, of course, when you're looking for it, here you go, Amazon Basics, right? So this is the Amazon Basics, which, some people are like, well, why should I sell on Amazon when we know that Amazon's going to essentially become a competitor of yourself, right? Like they can take all that data that they're collecting and where they're making their money off of and say that, hey, they want to, actually compete with you and make their own product and white label it themselves. Which is funny because this is your marketplace that's actually competing with you. And why should you actually do that? The reason why I would say that you still do this is because you don't have to worry about traffic costs. You don't have to worry about Facebook ads and Google ads and everything else with it. All of that could actually become gravy because everyone, the majority of now all of our e-com is always going through Amazon. And look at this right here. It's actually kind of crazy. But if you go down to the reviews, because you brought up that you go and look at the reviews first, and I totally agree, and I do the same. And I go down and look at the first thing, the top review that I'm seeing, even though the majority of everything is going to be a 5-star, but the top review is giving me this for an Amazon branded product, saying that it's actually got fiberglass in it. And so Amazon's own algorithm, when you look at top reviews, is actually saying that their product actually is terrible, right? Very, very, very soft, way too rough. Now, again, this is the top reviews. So really what you would want to do is go look at the most recent. And you can still see that there's people that actually are saying that they got rashes out of it. And you got to take it all with a grain of salt. But I mean, Amazon is being true to itself. They are definitely saying that they're going to compete with you, but they're actually going to allow these bad reviews there. So, I'm okay with that. I think that that's still worth it from a startup cost. If you're starting a brand, or if you want to make this a side brand or a side hustle, you might as well take advantage of all the people that trust Amazon, even to the point where when Amazon's product is terrible, they're still trusting Amazon that Amazon will take care of it.
You know, all the traffic that Amazon gets every day, you can't beat it. And if
Right.
you're creating a new product and you make your own web page and you put it out there and you're trying to drive traffic with ads and whatever it is a little pointless knowing that Amazon has, thousands of people, millions of people probably every day. So
Exactly. And that's again the benefit of Helium 10 here too. I mean, Helium 10 is tying into Amazon's data to get this information to the point where it is completely transparent. It's literally an open book that this particular organization, Qubit Goods, the seller, is selling for, how many sales they're actually getting. They're selling for $18 and they've gotten 20 sales out of it. I mean, I think that shows that Amazon is utilizing data sources, right? Like they're giving their data source to a company like Helium 10 to tap into. It's open source, so you can actually choose the product that you want to actually push, right? Like the only person that is accountable is yourself in this case. Amazon might compete against you, but you don't need to be kind of taking that in a negative, condescending way. Like just basically come up with another product. Don't come up with a whole new company. Just put them all under one umbrella and let Helium 10 help you choose that niche. Like Helium 10's number one goal is for you to actually come up with the next winning product strategy that you can get out onto Amazon, because it's kind of a numbers game. You want to have as many of these products out there and get them to market as quickly as possible without a crazy amount of startup costs. And Amazon allows you to do it. You can't do it anywhere else. I mean, we can actually go down that path in a second here, right? Like if you were to go design a whole new brand, let's just say at a conservative level, that's a 5K. And that's going to get you something really well done, right? Like, you're going to have to get your logo, your packaging, any like lifestyle images, product labels, every little piece. You can probably get all of that under 5K, right? And if you were to sell it, on your own, you have to then build a store. So let's just say even just a typical cost is $30. I'm just going to say for the month, right? I'm not going to annualize this yet. So I'm just going to say what your out of the box startup cost is and how Helium 10 will help you choose your next niche. A startup cost here, you got $30 for the store, Shopify, BigCommerce, it doesn't matter. You could even do it on WordPress. You are then looking to actually take care of manufacturing or drop shipping that product. So let's just say you are going to get a drop shipper, right? You're going to get a warehouse to actually take care of doing that for you. Not an Amazon warehouse, just some other random warehouse, right? The way most drop shippers will work is you would send your wholesale product to them. And as a new order comes into your Shopify store, they'll take care of it. They'll ship it for you. But they're not Amazon. They don't have the billions of dollars. I mean, they're going to be the first $1 trillion company. They don't have the billions of dollars though. They're not there yet. They're not a trillion yet. But they don't have the billions there working for you to take care of that real estate cost. So most fulfillment companies, if you're not selling on Amazon, not an Amazon FBA, an example would be like NFS in Philadelphia. And there's a couple in Maryland too, which is where we're all headquartered here. But these guys are out of Philly, right? Like their job is to make sure that the product is packaged, labeled, shipped to the customer, so you don't have to go to the post office and deliver this, right? But they are going to charge per unit. So on top of your margin, you might be spending another $2 to $3 just for them to literally take it off of their shelf, put it into your bottle, and put it into a padded envelope and ship it out, right? On top of shipping costs, which let's just say the customer is taking care of, unless you're saying it's a free shipping, which again is kind of coming out of your pocket because Amazon's not here to cover for you, right? Like, you can't use Prime to help supplement that cost. So your $6 profit that's off of this particular product, if you're only selling this on a Shopify store, and so far we're at 30, 30 for the Shopify store, 5,000 for the setup, your typical cost will be about $2 to $3 per unit. And then you have housing costs, right? Just to keep it on the shelf, which could be $300 a month. So again, the first month is all we're looking at here. We're at $53.30 so far. You have to buy the domain. So let's just say we have hosting there. We buy the domain as well, which is $9.99 a year, right? What else do we have, Andres? What else do you have when you start up a company?
I mean, all the legal.
All the legalities, right? So you got, operating agreements, actually filing your EIN and your state. Let's just say that's another 400 altogether, including filing with your state and, opening up a bank account and all that kind of good stuff, right? So yeah, we got that. What else do we got?
And then you got to think about any ads you want to run.
Yep, exactly. So on top of that, this is just the first month. If you're doing this outside of Amazon, you're going to have to get your ads through learning on Facebook and Google, right? So you might have to throw $2,000 before being able to scale and consistently sell off of one ad campaign. So let's just say a $2,000 ad cost for the first month. We're already there at 7,758. And the biggest variable here is we don't know how many sales we're going to get out of that. We've spent 7,758. If you were to go the Amazon route and let Helium 10 help you choose your product that you want to, niche down on, you still have to have, set up a company, right? You have to have an umbrella corp and, file it with the state and all that. So let's just say you got that 400 or so there. And pretty much everyone still buys their domain so they can make sure that that brand is actually something that has longevity to it. So you might have $9 there, but we're looking at 7,758 versus, and that's a very conservative. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot higher than this. Versus really just your startup of, filing with your state and setting up your EIN and buying a domain. And you're still going to want to have a design. So, you might be, again, we'll use that conservative number. We're at 5,000 versus 7,758, which is not as much as, I would like to say it is, but you can easily recoup that if you know that that product's going to bring in X amount of dollars based on literally seeing your competitors and how many sales they're having here. And seeing how you can, actually scale that particular brand. You can make back the money that you use as your startup and keep putting it right back into Amazon and have more product coming in.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it makes sense.
yep,
And that's why I feel like a lot of people are going the Amazon route.
they're definitely going the Amazon route. Helium10 is showing you the details that you just will not know without this kind of product here. Storage fee, like we said, right? Like Amazon, if they're holding it, not applicable. They're showing exact package dimensions. They're showing, which you can find. You can find a lot of this kind of stuff on your own. But age, how long this product has been sitting and with Amazon, and knowing that their sales are about 111,000, this particular product, this anxiety and stress relief, that particular product has been selling on Amazon for 22 months. You can kind of start, working your way down a funnel and really working down the math, right? You can actually forecast a little bit better here too.
So how does Helium 10, like, do they have a deal with Amazon? How do they have all this information?
So the way that works is Amazon has an API gateway, right? And I know this is like the inner workings of how Amazon is. Most people don't pay attention to this stuff here, but if you're living in the dev world, you know that Amazon's API, which is, it's funny, I'm going to just say it for the purpose of this particular conversation, but I always forget. API stands for Application Programming Interface, just because I always forget what it stands for. So Amazon's API, just like a lot of these tech companies out of Silicon Valley, even though Amazon's out of Seattle, specifically are trying to give all the details of their particular data set out to developers to then create their own access point into Amazon's data. So if you're looking at this complicated visual here, right? This Helium 10 model will be the connected user and streaming dashboard. It's tying into an Amazon gateway through, Helium 10's developers. They created that access point to get to the data that Amazon has. And this is all, this part doesn't matter. This is almost like proprietary to Amazon, right? Like they have their own data centers and data products as well. But you're really getting down to the endpoint here, publicly accessible endpoint. And I really have no idea what EC2 and Lambda and Kinesis is. That's probably more of a developer's perspective. Or really Amazon's way of controlling their data. But that workflow is going all the way down to this publicly accessible data point, which allows Helium 10 to pull all of this data right out of Amazon. So you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, basically. So there's a lot here that we can go jump into. I can actually go and click on each one if you want me to do that next.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start with the
Okay.
black box.
So I'll open up these in another tab just to make it a little bit easier. So the way the black box works is it's really probably not actually where I would start. I actually think what most people should start actually is the Trendster,
Okay.
because this is going to allow you to choose your trend. Okay. So this is a brand new Helium10 account here. And when you log in for the first time, it's going to strictly ask you if you're already selling a product, right? So I'm going to say no. We're going to pretend we're a new person. And I really want to skip all of this, but let's just say we want to find a profitable product. Really, that's it. If you tie in, if you already have created your Amazon seller account, and honestly, I would actually say Helium10 is probably actually a first step before even creating a seller account. Because once you create a seller account and you choose a category, you're kind of, kind of stuck. You're in that corner, right? So don't even create an Amazon seller account. Helium10 is actually your first starting point if you want to go into the Amazon world in general and actually have a profitable product on Amazon. So yeah, in this case, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to bypass this for a sec. I definitely recommend after you strictly are out of searches that you do upgrade. Okay, so this is your homepage of Helium10, right? And we went over the keyword already. We did the anxiety. I'm not going to hit search again, but we did anxiety relief here. It'll show you all the popular ones automatically through the search engine right here that you're seeing. So just on anyone typing in Amazon anxiety, that keywords that you're seeing here that just pulled up. Let me kind of start this again. Anxiety. All right, so these keywords that you're seeing here, and if you go to Amazon, go all the way back to the top. This was our mattress one that we did before. But if I were to type in the same anxiety here, all of these are all going to be very similar to what happens when you search for anxiety on this particular element. Even all the way to the dogs, right? We had coloring books, we had the dogs element. So again, the search results are mirroring each other. I think there was one different. I think there was a word that said like anxiety ring or something. Yeah, anxiety ring. I didn't know. I'm not sure what that one is. But they are almost word for word the same keywords that you're going to find when you're looking in Amazon. So that's why I would actually, if you're looking to start an Amazon business, an FBA business, or even really figuring out drop shippers, start by Helium10. Do a quick search on keywords before even going into any of the multiple pieces that Helium10 can do for you. After that, right? After you do that, you would actually want to go to the trend finder. I know that black box is here before. This is meant for you to find the right niche and then go into the trends to find the product. I think most people don't think that way. So that's why when I'm looking at Helium10 and what I would recommend you guys to do, and you have the benefit of this with Helium10 is, just like any other consumer, you're probably going to go to the product level first in the category, right? When you're a seasoned seller, you'll probably start on the black box because you're going to look at new categories, new niches, right? But when you're starting out, you're probably going to just start by choosing a product that you think makes the most sense. And I have a little reminder tab on my iPhone for like things that I think are interesting or things that I would want to pick up. And I just brewed myself a cup of coffee, right? I went to Costa Rica with my family, and one store that I found that I really wanted to hit is Costa Rica has this like coffee uh, humidor looking thing. I'm going to actually look it up because I'm going to use this for the trend. Change it up. So we talked about anxiety before. We're going to use a different trend altogether. So ideas for store. This was the. I might actually be butchering this word. It's chori. Is it choridor? Choreador. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but it should be Churidor. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This particular product.
Hmm.
Costa Rica has a ton of them, but I just don't see them here in the US that much. So I had it as an example. So I want to actually test, right? I'm a consumer. I'm finding a cool product. It's not a supplement or it's not something that we can kind of just throw in a keyword like anxiety or stress or something like that. I want to actually just look up a trend. So in this case, I can do two things. If I am on Amazon, I can use the ASIN number. And I'm going to be really upfront, guys. I actually always forget these acronyms all the time. So I'll tell you what ASIN stands for. Because I'm going to learn with you. Amazon standard identification number. So again, when you're using Helium10, don't create a Seller Central account yet, but keep Amazon open. So again, we're going to look up coffee. How did we spell it? CHORE.
There it is.
So I can see that there's product already here. One person's already sponsoring it. The ASIN number is going to be in the product specifics.
I think it's a little lower.
Yep. If you have the Helium10 installation, it's going to pull it up for you right here. If you don't, I think it is down. Yeah, it's right here. If you don't have the Helium10 plugin, it's down here. But another benefit, Helium10 with the plugin will automatically pull it up and give you all the details right here as well, like we talked about earlier. But in this case, I'm going to put that ASIN here. I can also do coffee filter, drip coffee. Andres, you're a coffee guy. What else do you got? What do you do? Are you a French press or?
Yeah, mostly a French press.
Let's throw in French press as a keyword then.
Okay.
And the other one was like the drip coffee, right? Like it's the glass. I mean, it really is a drip coffee, I guess, except you can do a filter, you can do a lot. I'll just use those as the keywords. So in Trendster, taking these keywords and also throwing in an ASIN, you don't need to have this number here. You can just use the keywords if you want. If you use the ASIN, you're going to be more specific, so might as well. But you can see more about the interest over time. So I would utilize Trendster the way that people utilize Google Trends. It's the same setup. Google Trends is definitely something that most people don't even really play around with, but same element here, right? If I'm going to type in coffee, to make sure we have that right. Okay. TrueDoor is not looking like a good store, by the way. But I'm going to just show you that Amazon Trendster or Helium Trendster here works the same way as how Google does it, right? Again, all these companies have all their data available to you in one form or fashion. So this is showing you interest over time. And this is actually a scary element here because I thought this would be a cool product for me to build a store on, but there's just not enough data on Google. If I go back to Helium and Helium10 here, right? Like looking at the interest for 30 days, you can see it's definitely on a downward trend. in general here, right? It's fallen quite a bit and might not be really worth it. I'm going to go into like, I don't know, a year. And again, you can see that it's dropped. But it's also kind of weird because it was up here at around 54, and you can see Amazon sales ranks right here. But it's dropped since. I'm wondering what would cause that. It's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, you would think that, with a cold, people want more coffee, but
Yeah.
that's not.
I'm not sure. I am not sure, but looking at that trend might not be worth it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit back. I'm done looking at that particular trend. I can go into the niche and look at other coffee products now. Or I could go down to this right here. This would be where I would go next. It's just the keyword tracker. And most people might not really look at it that particular perspective, right? Like they're not going to do it from that side of things, but we want to see if whatever product you're going to be talking about or you're going to create a store on or a brand on, a product on, right, is going to be scalable from a keyword perspective. And people are like, why does keywords matter on Amazon? You're not really worrying about SEO or anything of that nature, right? But Amazon has its own setup for keywords in general. So again, when you look at this title, it's got a lot of keywords in here altogether. And this evaluation result is a 7.4. It's giving you a lot of data that, again, is being pulled from the Helium10 element here. But looking at this particular product, you just know that it's not really doing too much. It's showing that FBA wise, your Amazon fees are $13. The product cost is always the variable that, Helium10 won't know. This is going to be you talking to your supplier, seeing how much your supplier is willing to give it to you for. But you are able to see how much Amazon's going to charge for that product to be housed at a fulfillment warehouse owned by Amazon, and how much the fees are going to be and everything else, right? You got your referral fee. The closing fee is going to be at 0. The fulfillment fee to actually have that package by Amazon is $4.90. And when I show you that number, that referral fee, that's basically the commission. Amazon takes a chunk off of your sale, right? So total that Amazon's taking out is $13 here. The biggest variable is how much this is, by your supplier or your wholesaler. Maybe it's $20. If it's $20 per unit, because you're going to be buying in bulk, right? You're looking at $36 of profit, all in for that particular product. Now, going back to the keywords, you're going to notice one thing. If it's not a really high valued product, you're going to see a lot more keywords here. I'm going to go back to the anxiety one. You'll see the same thing. There's a lot of different keywords. If it's a high known brand, and if you were to look up a French press or a coffee, man, that's like a really well known brand, what would you use?
I don't know brands that much. I would think, when we started talking to brands, I just thought, Ray-Bans.
Okay. So I'll use Ray-Ban sunglasses. The biggest thing here is all of this is interchangeable, right? Like the product doesn't matter. But Ray-Ban, because it's a brand name, doesn't need those keywords. So when you look at this particular product, it's just the product name. It's Ray-Ban. It's a classic aviator sunglass. And if you were to go type in aviator sunglasses and find all the competitors of Ray-Bans, even the drop shippers or the private label people, they're going to have way more keywords because keywords matter on Amazon for anyone to find you. That's really the main reason. And if the brand is really well known and selling on Amazon, you don't have to worry about this. You know that you're going to get that kind of covered. But like anything like this, Carfia, which I've never heard of, if I click on that particular product, you're going to see that there's a lot more keywords in the title. And that's not a bad thing. It's just this is a unique identifier to try to find that particular product. So keywords in Amazon's world is not search engine optimization like it would be for a normal website and building a new site from scratch. It's really about how people are going to find you in general. So again, I'm going to be able to go here and track a keyword, and I'll go back to that supplement just for showing multiple different aspects here, right? So we'll go back to the supplement, take this ASIN. This supplement is in a highly competitive market, right? Like there's a lot of supplements out there, and start tracking. Yeah, going back to the homepage here, once you've done looking at the trends, you can see the niche that you want to target, right? The category. The next part would be the keyword tracker, and you could go ahead and have your Seller Central connected. In this case, we're not going to go into that because we don't want to go into someone's Seller Central. But yeah, if you'll need to have your Seller Central to actually do an actual tracking of keywords, right? The benefit of tracking someone's keywords is that when you add a product, you can upload your own keywords here. This is going to be your direct source of marketing on Amazon. Because remember what we talked about is every single one of these keywords is one unique differentiator for you to find that particular product in general. So you would want to track every single one of these keywords because it's just a moving target, right? Like, I mean, tomorrow there might be 2 new brands that are also trying to sell. So you want to see how they're all doing, how their rankings are, what is the actual amount of products that are actually saying positive mood with ashwagandha, which I probably have butchered, and I apologize to that word. But yeah, you can actually track all of that if you have it tied in with your Seller Central, because it's going to see your real-time data based off of that. So that's where I would go after you figure out your product and your trend, right? You're going to start with your trends, then you'll figure out your niche. You're going to double check that, make sure that those 2 are good. You would then want to have your keywords in play. And then as we reviewed on the actual product listing, keeping that plugin on Helium10 and having Helium10 for that purpose allows you to get the historical data and the revenue as well. So I would do these 2 things, the revenue and the historical data, on the actual listing, because you're actually able to kind of match and compare the data and the keywords and the look and feel of that brand a little bit easier here. On Helium10, you can do the same thing. You're going to start up here though and find that keyword, which we went into, right? You're going to type in the keyword and find that particular product and drill down that way as well. A lot of this other information here is almost advanced level elements, right? Like Frankenstein, magnet to cerebro. This is if you're going to take a whole bunch of different keywords, right? A whole bunch of different products. And you can read the description here. You can actually go in and put in a whole spreadsheet of multiple products that you want to actually find to see if it's viable or not, right? Like if it's going to be something you want to actually create a brand around. And you can do multiple levels and just go and create your task of, is this a product I want to have sold on Amazon on my Seller Central account or not? And Cerebro would be, set up from that particular perspective. Frankenstein being the keyword processor, it's really just to see what keywords are actually going to make you money. So very powerful, but most people aren't going to go down the keyword route until they know their product that they want to hit. So we can go in and maybe do another review. We'll tie a Seller Central, Andres, into an account and go into Frankenstein, Cerebro, and Magnet Squared. These guys here, the ones that are like essentially uniquely branded, right? Playing off of X-Men or whatever you want to call it. Those three here, we can go into all of these because they're going to all require a Seller Central account. These guys are all right here. We can go down. We looked at profits, but we'll go actually play around with this a little bit more. Okay, so when you're into Helium 10, and we're really just basic. We're just starting this out, right? We're figuring out what products we want to have. We looked at Trendster. We looked at the listing. There's a lot of items on Helium 10 on your homepage that actually do require an Amazon Seller Central. Some of the items also require sales. So we're not going to go into those as a newbie. We can go into an advanced actual performing Amazon account and look at some of that data later. And we'll make another video on that particular piece. But I'll go into all the pieces that matter first and just check those off when you're logged into Helium 10 and why it's worth it, right? So you got black box for your niches or categories, whatever you want to call it. Trendster to analyze your product, probably going to be where you start. What you see on your third row, you got Magnet, Cerebro, and Frankenstein are all advanced. You need Seller Central to make it work. So those three. This is for keyword research, for ASIN to add multiple products, and to actually process like the most cash generating ones. You would need a Seller Central. Scribbles. This is something that needs a Seller Central, but it's really only meant for you to create a favorite list of all the keywords that you like. So that's really what Scribbles is about. It's really just a bookmarking tool for keywords. That's really what that one is. Index checker, how many times Amazon searches you. Keyword tracker needs Amazon Seller Central again, but very valuable because you can actually track in real time all your competitors and how their keywords are playing against yours. Inventory protector, well, you kind of need inventory first, right? So you need a Seller Central account for sure, and you need to have some sales on Amazon to utilize that piece. And this will see how many people are actually using coupons and abusing your product, right? So that's what that one is. Same for Refund Genie. If you have sales already, this will tie into your reviews and your refunds, how many refunds Amazon's processed, and pull all that reporting data into Refund Genie. This is for all your misspellings. So just call it Grammarly for your Amazon seller account. So powerful, actually kind of self-explanatory, but that's what that one is there. Alerts is allowing you to see if someone has hijacked your product, which is actually a big problem on Amazon because pretty much anyone can literally take your brand, and let's just say it's trademarked, and resell it on Amazon. And there's not really much control over that other than being on top of it. So even just from that perspective, if you have a brand that you have spent the time to protect from your intellectual property perspective, get Helium 10 because you can actually monitor that product. It's basically like a credit card monitoring service. See if someone's actually taken your product and started selling it separately on their own. And you don't want to really have that worry, so might as well utilize that. Market tracker is something you can look into. This one, to get started, you can actually create your market. And when I mean creating a market, right, Amazon has multiple different markets. It's not just one, right? Like, we all look at it from a .com perspective because we're living here in the States. but you can actually sell that product in India or France or Spain or any of these guys, and consider it a whole separate listing. When you go to Amazon.ca, Amazon considers buying from Amazon.ca a separate Amazon account altogether. I actually learned this the hard way just 2 weeks ago. You can't use Prime on Amazon.com on Amazon.ca. So you were trying to send cat food to Canada. You can't do that through a .com. You have to go to a .ca because that's a Canadian website. You would have to have a separate Amazon account and a separate Prime account, which you can get for free, at least for 30 days, but you can't actually transfer your .com Prime to a .ca. So same thing matters from a perspective of your product listing. You can have a product on .com. You'll need to create separate product listings for all your other Amazon accounts if you choose to sell in them, right? If you don't want to sell in Europe or in Canada, you don't have to. This is allowing you to create those markets and see if they're competitive and actually profitable for you. So this is what creating a market is. Let's just say we're going to use a .com. You're going to add in your keywords. We're going to use the anxiety one. Use a couple. And I'll create a market. I'll call this anxiety products. So this will allow you to see how many products. This is your search engine or your search agent. Like you're looking for a new job, right? You can create and track a lot of different products and keywords all under anxiety. So if you're under your market research, this one's actually probably another one that you might want to have under your belt, right? After you look at your trends, you see something that's worth it, go ahead and track it. So, starting point for anyone that's really looking to start out, Trendster, Blackbox, Market Tracker. Those are your main guys you would want to look at. This is if you wanted to actually get funds for your product. You can see if you can get a credit line and advances and all that kind of good stuff. In this case, you don't want to look into this unless you're you're already kind of established on Amazon, because Amazon will give you credit based on how many sales you're doing. It's kind of like an advance on your revenue that you already have. This will allow you to essentially manage that, but not a startup element. Profits. This is your bird's eye view of all your profits here. You would have to connect the Seller Central account. In this case, like we discussed and did before, play with your profits on the product listing, because this is what matters to you first. Once you are selling on Amazon, you know that you're making some sales. That's where the profit section is going to go into play. The Helium10 profits here. You can actually do a little bit more forecasting and analyze your profits and see how much inventory you're going to need for the whole year. Which is going to be a true element that you're going to have to keep in mind, because again, you're having to have that product stored in an Amazon warehouse, right? So, there's pros and cons. This one has way more pros than cons. It will require some startup capital, like having a little bit of product, but you always can start slow. There is no minimum. You don't want to have one product in an Amazon fulfillment warehouse, but there's no minimum to have your product in Amazon warehouses. You can have 10 products, 10 quantities of one product, and still have Amazon FBA taken care of. You just have to basically ship it to that warehouse that Amazon owns. And once you have that done, it's sitting there. But in this case, you know that you're going to have to create a product, but you don't have to really worry about the startup of all the other elements, right? The ads and the marketing and all of that. This Helium 10 actually does allow you to figure out the keywords, which is going to matter a lot. And really, again, the key basic pieces are really if it's a valuable trend to follow or not. And you got a lot of elements here that really you get to play with. I'm going to go into portals because I want to talk about landing pages, just to tie it all back to funnels. What you can do with a landing page on Amazon, it's an interesting piece. You can use this to drive traffic to your Amazon store. So if you want, you can buy ads on Amazon, right? Which, you would want to do after you have a brand that's already kind of set up and, you've already validated that it's a valuable brand or not. You can sell and sponsor ads on Amazon as well, which you'll do through your Seller Central account. But on top of that, you can create Facebook ads and Google ads. And this would be after you got a valuable, profitable product. If you want to start driving even more sales and creating a list, that would be phase 2. So most people like to say, oh, well, why don't I do this on my own? Like we talked about earlier. In the Amazon world, we consider that really phase 2. You don't want to do that first because it's way more cost than even just having a little bit of product. But when you're ready, send people to Amazon. That requires less conversion and validating if your website's going to actually turn people into customers than any other website that's out there, right? Amazon is, good at what they do. So drive traffic to your Amazon account. You'll probably make more money than trying to, test your own website to see what's working, what's not, what copy is working, what pictures are working. Just let Amazon handle it for the first, you know, basic elements. Then you can create a whole Shopify store, a BigCommerce store, whatever. This will allow you to create landing pages that will direct people to your Amazon account and will show you how you can create an email list that you can then go market to. Because there are different concepts that go into these particular pieces here. Warranty information, registering products. Those are all ways that you can create lists, and they're advanced level elements. The landing page builder will allow us to play around with a lot of that without starting from scratch every time. Lastly, on Helium 10 in general, they have a ton of training. You have to upgrade the account. You have to have a paid Helium 10 account. But once you do, they'll teach you on how to use each one of these products. And they'll show you exactly what stores are doing well and which ones are not. So you can kind of replicate your own Amazon seller account based off of one of these. So yeah, I would definitely recommend paying for Helium 10 just from that perspective. And, we'll go into the pricing just to kind of wrap this up, and we can go into an advanced training at a later point. But you're looking at $97 a month. For starting, this is probably what you need, right? I mean, yeah, the 197 is the best value and whatnot, but as a starter, looking to create a secondary supplementary income, the 97 is really all you're looking for here. It'll give you the training. You can connect your Seller Central account. You can, do your follow-ups and actually check your refunds and your inventory protection. And you have up to 300 products you can monitor. So most people are not even going to have 10. Even when you're looking at SKUs and forecasting, this gives you up to 20. So you got plenty to work with. And keywords are 2,500, with 3 markets being like the .com, the .fr, and .ca. So, the other ones will allow you to create multiple more markets that Amazon has, but start small, build with one, and then scale, create another brand on top of that. So yeah, this is Helium 10 in a nutshell, with also a little crash course on FBA and how you can take advantage of it.